Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Boggs fan, back with another video. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I want to talk about hobby influencers. It's a subject that I've been thinking about for some time now, and I thought it might as well do a video on it. The YouTube sports card universe seems to be made up of several different groups that each have their own focus. You have your collector channels like mine that basically, show off cards in their collection and do some other things. You have channels that provide hobby knowledge or information about cards primarily. Yeah, they may show their cards off, but they talk about the history, how to collect in the hobby and various things like that. You also have channels that are mainly devoted to flipping. You have some breaker channels. You have some channels that maybe are more involved with live auctions or things like that. And then you have the hobby influencers. Now, for the most part, it seems that these hobby influencer channels have popped up over maybe the last 2 or 3 years. And their primary goal is to talk about the sports card market and what cards are hot, what cards are not, maybe what cards to invest in the short term, what new rookies to invest in 2022, and so on. By the way, this video isn't a knock on those types of channels. I think within the hobby, within YouTube, there are good aspects to all the different areas of the hobby. But what I thought about in terms of these hobby influencers, whether you think they're good, whether you think they're bad, I've been thinking, are collectors in their own way hobby influencers? And the result I came up with is yes, in a way, and it's different than the traditional influencer channels that you may see out there or subscribe to. And it's not so much that collectors like myself talk about, hey, look at this card I picked up. This is a great opportunity. I think you should, if you're watching this, I think this is a good buying opportunity for this player or that player or whatever. I don't think it's that obvious. But I think maybe a different definition of influencer can apply to the quote-unquote collector channels out there. I know that I have been influenced by watching other collector channels in a variety of ways. One, I was influenced by watching collector channels. That was my main focus when I even just started finding YouTube videos about baseball cards. Mike Baseball Collector, Rick Vintage Oddball Cards, John Mangini. Those are some of the first early channels that I watched, and they influenced me to form my own channel. So that's a form of influencing, but again, it wasn't intentional by those channels. They were just showing off their cards and the enjoyment of the hobby and all that stuff, but it influenced me to say, hey, this could be fun. I think I want to start my own YouTube channel. Another way I think collector channels could influence others are just from the cards that they show off and the recent pickups. I know that I've started different collections or maybe search for a particular card because I saw that card being shown off on another collector's video. That, hey, look what I picked up, or look what card has been in my collection for the last 10 years or whatever. Tabletop showcases, player highlights, mail day videos, you name it. In one form or another, at least for me, they have influenced me to either recognize cards that I may not have thought about, of, hey, that's a really cool card, or yeah, you know what, I don't have any cards of that particular player, or, whatever your interests may be. But for me, it was, a card or a player, especially vintage. Um, some of you, who knows, may have even been influenced by seeing my Boggs room, of saying, boy, that would be cool to have some stuff displayed on my walls, or this or whatever. I think there are various ways that collectors like myself have a influence, and I think generally a positive influence on the hobby. There's also, when you get beyond the collectors, those channels that mainly provide hobby information, thoughts, how to collect, why a certain person collects baseball cards, what is their passion. And I think that passion also influences people like me in taking a step back and looking at my enjoyment of the hobby and how I can increase that enjoyment. So I think maybe without us knowing, collectors like myself and others that are out there are hobby influencers to one degree or another, even though, again, that may not be our intention. Um, but I think it also serves a positive aspect in the hobby. So, again, just a few thoughts that I've had in my head over the last few months. Again, just looking at all the various channels out there, looking at the focuses that those channels have. Even though, I subscribe to a good number of channels for a variety of topics, some for information, and I do subscribe to some that may be more on the, tend to lean more toward the investment or flipping channels, just to see what they're talking about and what's out there and so on. I'll occasionally watch their videos. Primarily, I'm one that focuses on other channels that are main collectors or provide hobby information or thoughts. But that's just me. But I think all in all, there's a lot to be said for the content that these collector channels provide and how they provide a positive influence on others within the hobby. So I would love to get your thoughts and feedback in the comments of this video. Um, do you think, if you are a collector, do you think you are an influencer to others? Have you been influenced by other collector channels out there on YouTube? And I think if you pause and take a moment to think about it, I bet you there's a lot of you out there, just like myself, that have been influenced, again, probably in a positive way, on how you look at your hobby, maybe what cards you want to buy or collect, but not felt like you're, pressured, or hey, you have to follow the market or what all the people were doing, but sort of subconsciously. And again, just some thoughts I had. I don't want to have this video go too much longer here, but again, would appreciate your thoughts. Let me know if I'm on track, whether I'm way out there, don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's all I have for you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.